The day began like any other Tuesday. Sunlight, thin and pale, sliced through the blinds. Alex dragged themselves out of bed. The coffee machine gurgled its usual morning song. Outside, the city hummed its low, monotonous tune. Cars passed. Sirens wailed in the far distance, too common to notice. The news on the radio spoke of trivialities, politics, weather forecasts. Another day unfolding, predictable and bland. At work, the hours crawled, keyboards clicked, phones rang with irritating persistence. Alex navigated spreadsheets and emails. Lunch was a sandwich, eaten hastily at their desk. The conversation with colleagues was light, forgettable. Office gossip, weekend plans. The commute home was equally uneventful. The train was crowded, faces buried in phones. Alex watched the city lights blur past the window. Streetlights flickered on one by one as dusk began to settle. Back in the apartment, the evening routine commenced. Dinner was prepared and consumed. The television flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The day had been long, unremarkable, and utterly normal. Sleep beckoned, a seemingly safe harbor. As night deepened, a subtle change began to permeate the apartment. The familiar sounds of the building seemed to hush. The usual creaks and groans of the old structure were muted, or perhaps Alex was just more attuned to silence. A strange stillness settled in. It wasn't peaceful, it was expectant, like the air before a storm. Alex double-checked the locks on the door. A habit. Tonight it felt less like routine and more like a flimsy defense. Against what, they couldn't say. A faint, almost imperceptible coolness drifted through the rooms, despite the closed windows. The city's hum outside seemed to recede. It was as if the apartment was detaching itself, floating in a pocket of quiet dread. Alex tried to dismiss the feeling. Tiredness, they reasoned, an overactive imagination. Yet the unease lingered, a persistent whisper at the edge of hearing. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed deeper, darker than usual. They seemed to stretch and shift when Alex wasn't looking directly at them. The silence of the apartment pressed in. Sleep finally came, not as a gentle release but as a sudden plunge, a fall into a chasm of distorted perception. The dream began. It was Alex's apartment, but not. The walls seemed to breathe. Slow, shallow inhalations and exhalations. The colors were wrong, muted and sickly. A perpetual twilight filled the space even though no windows showed the outside. The air was thick, heavy, like trying to breathe underwater. Every sound was magnified yet strangely muffled. Footsteps echoed with an unnatural resonance. Alex's own heartbeat thudded loudly in their ears, a frantic drum against the oppressive silence. Familiar objects were twisted. A favorite armchair in the living room was covered in a strange pulsating moss. Its fabric seemed to writhe subtly. The grandfather clock in the hallway, a family heirloom, ticked backwards. Its hands spun erratically, defying time. The portraits on the walls, usually smiling ancestors, now bore expressions of silent terror. Their eyes seemed to follow Alex as they moved through the distorted space. The layout of the apartment was subtly altered. Corridors stretched to impossible lengths. Doors appeared where none should be. Deeper into the dream apartment Alex ventured. The silence was broken by a faint rhythmic scratching. It seemed to come from within the walls. Close. Too close. Alex pressed an ear against the pulsating wallpaper. The scratching stopped. Then, a low chuckle. It vibrated through the wall, through Alex's skull. A dry, rasping sound, like dead leaves skittering across concrete. It was a sound of pure malice, cold and devoid of any human warmth. Fear, sharp and icy, pierced through Alex. This was no ordinary nightmare. This was an encounter. The temperature in the dream plummeted. Alex could see their breath fogging in the sickly twilight. The scratching resumed, louder now, more insistent, coming from all around, as if countless unseen things were just beyond the surface of the walls, trying to get in, or perhaps trying to get out. The walls themselves seemed to bulge slightly in places, as if something was pressing against them from the other side. The air grew heavy with a palpable sense of menace. Alex backed away from the wall, heart pounding, searching for an escape that didn't exist. Then, a section of the wall opposite Alex began to ripple, like water. The wallpaper pattern swirled and distorted. A dark shape started to coalesce within the rippling surface. Not a distinct figure at first, just a deeper patch of shadow. The watcher remained embedded in the wall, a silhouette of pure dread. Then a voice. Not from a mouth, for it had none. The voice echoed directly inside Alex's mind, Cold, monotonous, devoid of emotion. "You have been observed," it resonated, each word a shard of ice. "The pattern is clear, the cycle continues." Alex tried to respond, to ask what it meant, but their thoughts were tangled in terror. The mental voice was inescapable, filling every corner of their consciousness. It was an intrusion of the most violating kind. "The door you never noticed will soon appear," the voice continued, its tone flat, unwavering. "It has always been there, waiting, hidden from those who do not see. When the clock strikes 3, the voice intoned, each syllable heavy with doom, the passage will open. For a short time. Do not look, do not answer. If you see what lies beyond, you will be taken. You will become part of the pattern. This is your only warning." Alex woke up with a gasp. A silent scream caught in their throat. They sat bolt upright in bed, heart hammering against their ribs like a trapped bird. Cold sweat slicked their skin. The bedroom was dark, silent. But the silence was different now. It was not the expectant silence of the pre-dream unease. It was the terrifying silence of its aftermath. The dream clung to them, its vivid details. The watcher, the voice, the warning. It felt more real than the waking world around them. Disorientation swamped Alex. For a terrifying moment, they weren't sure if they were truly awake. Trembling, Alex reached for the bedside lamp, fumbled for the switch. Light flooded the room, chasing away the deepest shadows. But not the fear. The fear was a cold knot in their stomach, a frantic thrumming in their veins. Alex scanned the room, their familiar bedroom. Everything was in its place. The wardrobe, the bookshelf, the closed door. No breathing walls, no pulsating moss, no watcher, just ordinary objects. Yet the dream's oppressive atmosphere lingered, a phantom chill in the air. The words of the warning echoed relentlessly in their mind. "The door you never noticed." Alex's breathing was ragged, shallow. They forced themselves to take deep breaths, to calm down. It was just a dream, they told themselves. The next day, the dream's tendrils wrapped around Alex's waking hours. Every shadow seemed deeper, every unexpected noise made them jump. The world felt subtly altered, as if viewed through a dark, distorted lens. At work, Alex struggled to concentrate. The watcher's form flickered at the periphery of their vision. The mental voice echoed during moments of quiet. "The pattern is clear. The cycle continues." Colleagues asked if Alex was okay. They looked pale, distracted. Alex mumbled something about a bad night's sleep. How could they explain the terror that gripped them? The sinister warning that felt like a ticking clock. Déjà vu struck with unsettling frequency. A turn of a phrase from a co-worker. The way light fell across a building, small, insignificant moments felt eerily familiar, as if Alex had experienced them before, in the dream, or in some forgotten, suppressed memory. The line between the nightmare and reality was blurring. Days turned into a week. The initial terror had subsided into a gnawing, constant anxiety. Alex tried to rationalize, to dismiss the dream. But the warning remained, a splinter in their mind. Then, one evening, it happened. Alex was in the hallway of their apartment, the same hallway where the dream clock had ticked backwards. Their gaze fell upon a section of the wall, a section they had looked at thousands of times, plain, unremarkable. Except now, it wasn't. There, faint but undeniable, was an outline, a perfectly rectangular shape, the size of a door. Alex's blood ran cold, their breath hitched. It couldn't be. They touched the wall, the paint was smooth, undisturbed, yet the outline was there. Subtle, almost invisible in certain lights, like a watermark on paper or a scar beneath the skin. Alex had never seen it before. Never. "The door you never noticed," the watcher's voice echoed in their memory. It was real. The dream was real. This was not their imagination, this was a physical manifestation, a chilling confirmation of the nightmare's prophecy. Alex stands frozen. The faint outline on the wall pulses with a terrifying promise. The grandfather clock's echo of 3 still hangs in the air. The dream's warning is no longer a distant memory. It is an imminent, palpable threat. The air crackles with unseen energy. The silence of the apartment is no longer empty, waiting for the final stroke of midnight, then 1, then 2, then 3. The choice to look, or not to look, feels like no choice at all. Only a deferral of the inevitable. The knowledge is a suffocating weight. The door is there. It has always been there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the moment of revelation. The watcher's words were not a mere dream-induced delusion, but a stark, factual statement. Alex is now part of that pattern, an unwilling participant in a terrifying ancient ritual. The mundane world is peeled back, revealing the horrifying machinery beneath. There is no escape from this awareness. Only the agonizing wait for the night, for the true test of will against an unimaginable horror. The sinister warning from the dream has become a horrifying reality. The protagonist, Alex, is trapped, facing a terror that seeped from nightmare into the waking world. The line between sanity and the abyss is razor thin. Every tick of the clock is a step closer to a confrontation they are desperate to avoid, yet morbidly compelled to understand. The apartment, once a haven, is now a prison cell, shared with an unseen, malevolent entity, and a door to unspeakable things.